Hello again, and welcome to Sacred Feminine Wisdom for an Awakening World. My name is Amrita Grace, and I would like to share with you today why it is that everyone needs sexual healing, including you. Now, I realize this is probably landing on you as, oh no, not me, or real controversial. It's like, this is a statement that not many people make. But here's the truth of it. There is no escaping the impact of the sexual wounding that is running rampant in our culture, and that is emerging from the shadows more and more every day, every week, and every month right now. It's actually kind of shocking just how much is emerging. And all of that has been buried underneath the surface. So really, religions are the big one probably, that really impact all of us in some way, because for thousands of years, religions have been putting sexuality in their own little box, burying it and creating their own rules around it. And it's honestly, it's like trying to hold a beach ball underwater. This is our life force energy. Our sexual energy is our life force energy, even though nobody ever taught you that. So when you're holding a beach ball underwater, it takes a tremendous amount of energy, and eventually you can't do it anymore. It pops. And this is exactly what's happening on our planet right now. Religions have been locking down the sexual energy to keep control of this incredibly powerful life force that we all have access to, that we all have as our birthright, and that we've been taught how to suppress and repress and shut down. So let's talk about the cultural impact of how sex is used in advertising as a commodity. Sex is a commodity in our culture, and it's accelerating very rapidly in how sex is used as a tool to sell and convince and influence and manipulate people. It's really kind of crazy. And it's a symptom of the greater problem of how sexuality has been shamed and locked down in our world for so long. So the truth of the matter is, our sexual energy is super powerful. It can be used for healing ourselves. It can be used for creativity. It can be used to integrate our emotions. And this is all lower chakra stuff, second chakra. And this is really where our creativity resides. And the sexual power is a super important piece of being a full human on this planet right now. So a lot of us were sexually harmed as children, and then we do whatever it takes to survive. And that's perfectly natural, and as it should be. We do whatever it takes. And a lot of times, because it's not safe to be a sexual being as a child, to be in touch with our sexual energy because of that harm that's come towards us, because of our natural sexual energy, we should shut it down because it's not safe. And that honestly carries over into adulthood and into relationships, and it impacts so many sectors of our lives that you can't even imagine. It impacts our capacity to receive and receive abundance, including money. It impacts our voice, very connected to our voice, because if we've shut down ourselves as sexual beings, then there's fear that's running our bodies. It shuts down our ability to be truly embodied and all the way in occupancy of our bodies as humans. And this is what we're here for. We're here to fully embody. So the reason I say that everyone needs sexual healing is because we are all impacted by the messages of religions, by the lack of reasonable, decent sexual education in our schools, by our parents' lack of knowledge and understanding of these issues. They're passing their messages to us, which probably came from their parents, which probably came from their parents, and on up the line. So it just wasn't that many generations ago that women were property and women could be abused and it wasn't even considered an issue. And do you think that stuff ever really got sorted out from our ancestors, like in a psychological way in their lifetime? Probably not. That just wasn't available at the time. It wasn't known. So what happens is that gets essentially embedded in our DNA and our cells, and it gets handed down generation after generation. So that's in this, just in this life and this body. Let's talk about what gets handed down from other lifetimes. Oh my goodness. There are fears that we carry in our DNA that are embedded in our Akashic records, which is the record of all of the lifetimes we've lived, whether on this planet, planet Earth, or on other planets, off-world, on stars. Who knows where we have been in the past and lived lives? We really can't know that. But there is an etheric record that is kept of all of our lives and all of our amazing accomplishments, as well as all of the ways that we have been harmed and the ways that we have harmed others. So that stuff gets carried forward as well. So there's so much that each of us carries, and what happens is it gets absolutely locked down in our pelvic region. Shuts down that life force energy that is truly our birthright to have access to use for creativity, for healing, and for living. It's not just for sex. Our sexual energy is our life force, and we're just not taught that. So locking it down is just par for the course. And I'm really hoping, envisioning, and working towards having that be different somewhere down the road. And I think that it is beginning to change as people become more aware of how to heal themselves and their sexual wounding, and how to show up as empowered and whole beings on the planet, and raised empowered and whole children who receive an appropriate sexual education from their parents that is not laced with shame and instructing them to shut themselves down, and in places where they can feel safe to express what's natural for children to express, including their creativity. Good time to take a breath, isn't it? That was a lot. So all of this information to invite you to think about what and feel into what you're holding in your body that you're not even aware of, and how really high quality sexual healing could free up some energy that you didn't even know you weren't having access to. I know for me, because of the sexual healing work that I've done, and because I'm a teacher of sexual healing, there was a time when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, and I knew how to use my life force energy to heal myself, and I used it. And I went from diagnosis to cancer-free in less than 3 months. So I know for a fact that our sexual energy is limitless, that it is a potent healing elixir, and who doesn't want access to that? It's yours, it's free, it's natural, and it's 100% appropriate. But as you access it, it's going to bring stuff up. It's going to bring all that stuff up that I've been talking about. The ancestral sexual wounding, the past life stuff perhaps, and anything that's happened in this life that you've been impacted by. And oh my goodness, we cannot help but be impacted by all of the overlays in this culture around sexuality. So I hope that you have found that helpful, and hope that you have gained some insights, and also perhaps some ways to look into your own life and your own self, and start to untangle this within yourself so that you can have amazing relationships, so that you can receive abundance and money, so that your creativity can be freed up, and so that you can live the kind of life that you are really intended to live here on this planet. So that's it today for Sacred Feminine Wisdom for an Awakening World. And I wanted to make you an offer of my complimentary 3-part video series which will help you get access to this life force energy with some very simple tools in the comfort of your own home. It's called Ignite Your Sacred Feminine Fire, and you can find it on my website, which is sacredfeminineschool.com. I'll see you next time on Sacred Feminine Wisdom for an Awakening World. Thank you so much for being with me, and may your day be completely and totally blessed.